Shock Treatment the movie is rated PG, but Shock Treatment Minute is rated F for food! We're going to spend this time discussing the movie in gory detail, and along the way we'll talk about adult content and use adult language. Consider yourselves warned. Welcome to Shock Treatment Minute, the podcast where we break down shock treatment in excruciating detail, 1 minute at a time. I'm one of your hosts, Leandra.
And I'm your other host, Kelly.
And we're sluts.
One of us is.
Well, yeah, as I was saying it, I was like, I don't know that that's very true.
One of us is a slut and one of us is a prude, and you can only ask one question.
It's like when we were talking with your mom on the phone. It was like,
oh, my mom.
I love
hates
her.
My slutty behavior and doesn't even know the half of it, but anytime I reference anything, she's like, oh, gross, Kelly.
And I love that you keep telling her that I'm lying when I talk with her about things.
Only when you're lying.
Say that again?
Only when you're lying.
Oh, well, but I'm not lying, though, when I say things like, you're a slut.
Oh, no, that, I did not call you a liar, but when you said that I claimed to not know that pools have bathrooms.
Okay, roll that beautiful bean
lie.
Footage back and ask Brad, because he was there.
Brad was... He doesn't remember. He was just outraged. Anyway, pools, obviously, not only do they have, like, public restrooms with stalls,
they sure do.
But pools themselves are restrooms, so...
No, they're not.
Yeah, test that water and let me know.
It's so great to laugh again and never get in pools with you.
It's not my fault. People be peeing in pools. Get with the program.
Is people another name for Kelly?
Well, I don't see why I should be left out.
Hey, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what happens in minute 12 of Shock Treatment.
Okay. So Bert continues his sentence from last minute by saying, "For us tomorrow night, Ralph." And then we cut to Ralph and Macy with Ralph Hapshat on the screen at the bottom. And Ralph says, "Oh, you bet, Bert." And he snaps his fingers he does a large gesture across his chest and snaps his fingers. Then Bert replies, "Good. I'm gonna be there. Ain't we all, viewers?" And then he grins like an insane person. Back to Macy and Ralph, and we see them turn and sort of wave to the adoring fans behind them before sitting back down. While watching this from Kirk's, we hear Betty say, "Macy Struthers with my husband, God, I must have been blind. Still, the weaker the man, the dumber the blonde." And she kind of turns conspiratorially towards Wright, like he's going to join in with her catty comments. He is pretty much fully ignoring her. He's sort of staring out at the audience, and he points and says, "Isn't that, Brad and, Janet Majors sitting in the audience there?" And we get a close shot of them through the cameras, sort of like a kiss cam at a stadium. And he adds, "What an ideal couple they are. You know, more than anyone else in Denton, they represent the old values. Ike would have been proud of them." And he says this with like a little waggle of his eyebrows before sipping his coffee. Betty giggles the giggle of a woman trying to get laid. Then it's back to Bert.
You're so funny. Please continue.
Yeah, I know. It's like, oh my gosh. Yeah, but in reality, you can tell that she does not care about this. So we go back to Bert and he says, "And now, would the first couple who seem to have made a hash of their marriage and cooked the goose step this way, please? You!" And he points. We get the kiss cam of Brad and Janet again. Everyone gasps, but Brad looks a little alarmed. Janet looks delighted. She claps her hands over her mouth and she says, "That's us, Brad." And Bert says, "Come on, what's cooking up there? Come on down, you guys. Let's feel you." And then he throws his head back in maniacal laughter. Brad says, "I'm not going, Janet." And Janet replies, "You've got to. Everyone's watching." But then the choice is taken away from them because we see hands yank Brad to his feet and off screen. Then we get a shot from sort of the other end of the audience, and we see that it is the floor manager manhandling him. Janet goes willingly. And then we see two people stand up from a couple rows behind them and move down into those seats, which is very real. Back to the kiss cam view, we see those new audience members take their seats. It is a very old lady takes Janet's place. She's wearing a bright pink top and a chunky white necklace. And then a younger, very well-dressed lady in a white pillbox hat is in Brad's seat. Everyone in the audience is delighted and cheering and applauding furiously, and that's the minute.
That's such a fun minute.
Yeah.
It's so good.
We already teased this last minute, but that line, "I'm gonna be there, ain't we all, viewers?" That is, I would say, the most quoted line from Shock Treatment. At least that isn't from a song.
Agreed. And it really is just such a fun way that it's said. There's just something about the energy. This is a great minute. Possibly one of the top 10 minutes.
It's definitely one of the top 92.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I'd say it's top 10 material.
It's a great minute. I haven't given much thought to it, but I do love it, and it's huge for a lot of characters.
Imagine if we were ranking every minute. That would get so obnoxious.
I could do like a tier list.
Oh, that's
And this
fair.
would be an S tier minute.
Yeah. We could potentially rank it if we were doing what we do with that restaurant ranking app that we both have, where it just tells you, is it better than this one or this one? And it just kind of slots it in for us.
Yeah.
That could work. We're not doing this,
Someone build us
listeners.
that app.
No.
Couple more things about Bert that I wanted to just note. First of all, his lip gloss is really poppin' in this when we see it up closer. It's more likely because of the time just a very shiny lipstick. But I thought that was interesting because he's not really in drag. He's wearing a fuckload of makeup, but it's the type of makeup that you could conceivably see a man wearing if he was sort of a ghoulish TV star who was wearing a lot of makeup for his appearance on TV. And the lipstick is included in that, but I was like, wow, a shiny lipstick with a shimmer to it or that sort of finish is a surprising choice for that type of makeup look. So I just noticed that. And also, because we see his hand in some of these shots, we see that he has a gold watch, I think it is a gold watch, and a huge ring on his left hand.
He may not be in drag, but he's definitely drag adjacent.
Well, we're all born naked and the rest is drag. But yes, I mean, I'm just saying he's not in women's makeup as a general thing, but that is even like certain men who are not at all trying to appear feminine will wear makeup for television. And this is, as we've discussed, sort of intentionally too much makeup and kind of freakish looking. But, and by the way, Patricia Quinn and Little Nell are commenting constantly on the contour on his jaw, which we've already talked about. But like I said, it is really, really noticeable, especially in some of these shots. So it's fun. But anyway, I just thought that was interesting that they used a lipstick with a shimmer or a very shiny finish. That would not normally be the choice.
It's kind of like in The Birdcage when Nathan Lane's character is in a suit and then he crosses a leg and you see that he's wearing pink trouser socks and he goes, well, one must have a touch of color. So it's kind of like that. It's like not drag, but it's, one must have a bit of shimmer.
Yeah, exactly.
I just want to say thank you, Oliver Wright, for giving us yet another reminder of who Brad and Janet are. In case you couldn't pick up context clues any of the several times before that.
Now, I thought his line was very interesting here because he says, Brad and Janet represent the old values more than anyone else in Denton. Why do you suppose that is? And actually, I was wondering if perhaps this line might mean the opposite of what I always thought it meant, because he says Ike would have been proud of them. And I always took that to mean like, oh, they're like an all-American, very traditional couple. But when he says they represent the old values, that implies new values coming in, which in this movie, the new values are not less conservative than those previously established. You know what I mean?
I guess so, yeah.
While he was a Republican, Eisenhower was a relatively moderate Republican, far, far more moderate than Ronald Reagan, who was president at the time in the United States when this came out. Now, was he president at the time when the script was being written, or when this line... Definitely not when the script was started, and probably not when this line was written, but perhaps America was already trending that way, and that's what... But either way, I don't know. What do you think? What is meant by this?
Well, I really don't know, because I also thought that he was trying to say that these are an all-American couple and they have that kind of normal, traditional marriage. And, like, Oliver Wright is already kind of a little bit, like, not buying into all of what Denton is now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the traditional marriage that would have kind of conveyed that Janet would have been like maybe a trad wife, and she certainly isn't, at least not this Janet. So
No,
I
yeah.
I have
And I
no
mean,
idea.
the thing that really gives me pause is, why does he say more than anyone else? I mean,
What if it is more than anyone else and that's just very sad? Like everybody else is like worse at being a traditional couple.
oh, but we know that's not true. I mean, like, we see that Brad is not buying in at all, and, like, we see a lot of other people who are. I mean, Macy and Ralph, for example.
I guess that's fair, but it seems kind of like, for whatever reason, Oliver Wright doesn't know all of the players in the Denton DTV universe, or at least not as intimately as he knows Brad and Janet. It's kind of hard to explain, but it seems like he's kind of developing opinions about some of his coworkers in real time.
I mean, maybe, but also, I mean, he says this line almost approvingly, which,
Agreed.
if he meant it in the, like, traditional marriage sense, I can't, based on what we know of Oliver Wright's philosophy, I can't imagine that that would be his take on it, you know?
Unless it's just been like many, many years since he's seen either Brad or Janet, and the last time that he saw them, they were very much a different couple. I guess that's possible.
But no, I'm saying we know Oliver Wright is has very negative feelings about this side of Denton.
Right.
So he wouldn't speak so fondly if he was trying to say that they embodied those values.
I think that he's referring to old values as something that happened prior to the DTV bubble. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, yeah, that's basically what I was trying to say. I don't know which version it is, but that would be some evidence to the idea that he was saying that they are a less extreme version of this hyper traditional kind of conservative mindset.
Okay.
I'm not sure where I stand, but I'm just saying that that would be some evidence towards that viewpoint. Speaking of Eisenhower, Cliff DeYoung modeled Brad on Eisenhower, his portrayal of Brad.
Which, I guess that, well, no, Oliver Wright wouldn't know that. That's out of the universe. I ignore that. I'm fucking stupid.
Yeah, so that's where he got those mannerisms, and can you guess what he modeled his Farley on?
Was it Nixon?
No.
Reagan?
No.
Pennywise
not a
the
politician,
Clown?
sorry.
I don't know.
Jack Nicholson.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do see that. I see that a lot.
Once I heard that, I was like, oh, yeah. The Jack Nicholson really came through. And I mean, sorry for the spoilers, but the fact that Cliff DeYoung plays both those characters and differentiates them so strongly, it's a real achievement of acting. That, I mean, truly, I had no idea the first time I watched this movie that was the same actor. Never
Yeah.
a hint of it. And even afterward, I had to really squint to see it. So, shout out to Cliff DeYoung.
Yeah, it was very extremely well done. Every time I've seen Cliff DeYoung in other things, I go like, "Oh, he was in Shock Treatment. He was really good in Shock Treatment." And I have this conversation with anybody that I'm watching stuff with, and they go, "Okay." And they don't understand that he was really good in Shock Treatment.
He was great in Shock Treatment. A lot of actors were amazing in it, and he is one of them. So, Cliff DeYoung, if you'd like to come on our podcast,
Please do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that we would start objectifying you in the same way that we've objectified Barry Bostwick, but it's not off the table.
No, yeah, the Farley version of Cliff DeYoung can get it yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But, so, speaking of actors, actors from the previous movie, this is, I think, the closest thing we've seen to the Ralph of the wedding.
Yes.
His big snapping his fingers gesture and everything, it really reminded me of the asshole fight in Rocky Horror.
I'm so happy that they brought him back for this.
Oh, yeah.
On paper, it sounds really fucking weird to have just such a small character in Rocky be such a major player in the sequel, but this really works.
Yeah, I mean, I've already expressed this in the past, but I'm really, really glad we got a chance to see more of what he can do, because he didn't get, obviously, much screen time in Rocky, and he's so campy and fun in this. But anyway, that was a little Rocky throwback for me anyway. It really reminded me of that version of Ralph. I guess this is sort of back to Bert, but I just wanted to comment that his food puns are great. The gourmet aspect of his character is really easy to miss on a first watch or even a second or third watch. So a lot of viewers are very confused when in a later song, spoiler alert, he puts his face suddenly into a pile of caviar as in a Scarface move.
Now, one of his lines that is very gourmet, it also includes a reference to Nazism that has to be intentional. I can't imagine that it wouldn't be. It's one that you wouldn't notice unless you were reading the script, but his line is, "Made a hash of their marriage and cooked their goose. Step this way, please." And right there you have goose step.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that ever, but that is true.
I just can't imagine that being an accident given everything else we know about the character and about the universe, and I think that it's either clever or I'm way overthinking and it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Or not a mistake, but you know.
Yeah, I'd say it's honestly 50-50. I could see it going either way. I mean, step this way is kind of a strange phrasing for that, but then again, he has a lot of strange phrasings, so maybe. By the way, do we have an early slip-up of his blind act? Because, spoiler alert, again, he's not blind. How does he know where to point at Brad and Janet?
It's a really good question, and yeah, I really don't think that anybody who was like really paying attention wouldn't miss that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Because it's not like, I mean, to a blind person, there's no way he would have known where Brad and Janet were sitting or that they were there at all. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't speaking or anything. So, just food for thought. It's at least how I'm going to interpret it.
Yeah, I think that it's a fair interpretation. There's a lot that he's doing that isn't very, like, blind looking, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this could very easily be the first of many things.
Yeah.
Also, while we're talking about you, that line, so are Brad and Janet surprised that they're on Marriage Maze? Are they... Okay. So...
I mean, we saw Janet go, "Oh my god, that's us!" Like, she was shocked.
But earlier on, weren't they talking about it with Neely?
Let me see.
when she was doing the flappy hand thing.
Yeah, no, I remember the scene. I'm just going back to see exactly what they said. No.
Okay.
Neely says, "Come for marriage, Maze? I'm exhausted working on this documentary for Farley's new show. Farley Flavors, our new sponsor. Woo, I tell you, that guy's as close as will come to a successful man in this town."
Oh,
and then she leaves.
I was putting too much weight on Come for Marriage Maze. I took that to mean, did you come to participate in it? I suppose they could just be in the audience to watch it.
Yeah, like everyone else there.
Yeah, okay, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It is kind of like, well, everyone in the whole town is here, but anyway. But yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I do think they're excited. My final note on Barry is, let's feel you.
Yeah. Hate
What?
that. I don't think it makes sense.
What? I don't understand what the character was saying in that moment. But anyway, and in the commentary, Patricia Quinn said, "Barry starts feeling everyone. I mean, he's feeling you." And Nell said, "Well, I like to be felt." Once again, me and little Nell, very simpatico here.
I love them.
Yeah. I looked to see if we have any of the same audience members in the same spots in this shot, and we do. Very same seats, so I'm guessing they were assigned. Nell said on the commentary they had to sit there week after week, but as she said, it is a cushy role. That they're just kind of sitting and reacting. But so I'm assuming those were definitely assigned seats, which makes sense, like for continuity and stuff. And this meant that we got kind of an up-close shot of the creature that we were talking about that was sitting in front of Janet.
Yeah.
We can confirm now that it is a woman with a crazy fucking perm, or maybe a wig, but it is huge and insane.
It really is a creature on a head.
Yeah. Little update on the coffee urn, because I remember I was saying that there is a shield-shaped sticker with an American flag pattern on it, and I couldn't read what it said before, and I didn't know what the sticker... I think it's a sticker. It might be printed on the urn, I guess. But up closer, I was able to see it says, "Help keep America clean," which I thought was very strange. That's not relevant to coffee, so I don't know why it would be on a coffee urn, or a coffee stand, for that matter. So it sounded like a cleanup initiative or a littering thing, and I was like, is this a trash can or something? Like, or is that from a... And I looked it up, and it does seem to be related to a anti-littering campaign that was popular in the United States around this time.
Okay.
So it could be related to that. If I had to guess, I would say that this was a sticker from that campaign or something, and Brian Thompson liked the look of it, and it went very well with the general aesthetic of Kirk's Coffee and the color scheme, and so he put it on there. It doesn't make much sense, that slogan, in terms of Kirk's Coffee. I wrote that I think it's hilarious that Janet would be excited at the honor of being on a show for people in broken marriages.
Yeah.
But we've all been there, right, gals?
Where? God, it's so true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like everybody's been in that relationship where, yeah, I'm gonna trail that sentence off into the sunset.
The sun never sets on those who ride into it. My final note, and it's really just amusing, but the way that Brad and Janet are being kind of pushed by the floor manager and Brad is resisting is almost a mirror of Magenta pushing Brad and Janet into the elevator in Rocky.
Oh, I like that.
And this is sort of a similar moment in Shock Treatment. You know what I mean? It's a pivotal moment of them being like taken up into this world. And again, Brad and Janet are flipped because the way that Brad reacts to this is exactly how Janet reacts to being pushed by Magenta, and vice versa. So I don't know if it was intentional, but I thought it was interesting anyway.
I think it was intentional. Let's say it was intentional.
Why not?
Yeah.
Who's gonna contradict us? Richard O'Brien? Okay, come on the show.
Cock ring!
As if I needed more excuses to shout cock ring.
Yeah. So, do you have any callbacks?
Never. That's not true, but not today.
I have some fun callbacks. So, first off, Bert continues, and got a good show lined up for us tomorrow night, Ralph. And you shout over that, do you have a little dick, Ralph? And Ralph says, aw, you bet, Bert. And if you don't say that one, and you want to emphasize Ralph's line of you bet, you can shout after that, I fold. And then when Bert says, I'm a gonna be there, ain't we all, viewers? You can either say, count me in, I gotta get my hair done, or count me out, I gotta get my nipples pierced. Or something along those lines. And honestly, there's enough time for both of those if you want to do a callback to a callback. So when Betty says, God, I must have been blind, you can shout, that would explain the dress. And then, still the weaker the man, the dumber the blonde, that would explain Jessica Simpson, or not another blonde joke. And then when Oliver says, isn't that Brad and Janet Major sitting in the audience, you can shout, the bitch got hitched. And then the callback to that is, he sure did. Or, if you don't want to do that, or you don't have a call and response, like Buddy, you can just say the Bizarro World version of Brad and Janet.
Nice.
And what an ideal couple they are. Ike would have been proud of them. You say, but Ike had a big dick behind him. Or, not Tina Turner, but what's love got to do with it? And then when Bert points at Brad and Janet and says, you, before that you can say, what's the second letter of the word fuck, or A-E-I-O, or just fuck. And then he says, you, and that's fun.
Someone should do a Soulja Boy one.
Yeah. That could be you. That could be us.
You!
For those of you who don't know, Soulja Boy was a... No.
Yeah, I guess most of our audience is either too young or too old for that reference, but some of you are Goldilocks right here with me.
And every time somebody says, you, you're just thinking of Superman and hose. So when Janet says, that's us, Brad, you can say, that's right, Brad, or tonight on Politically Incorrect, Janine Garofalo and Bill Gates. Do you remember Politically Incorrect? What a
With
show.
Bill Maher?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really watched it, but I knew of it.
Yeah, it was fun.
Bill Maher's an asshole.
That is true. And then when Bert says, let's feel you, you can shout, grab Janet's tits, or Janet will only come if you feel her tits. And then when Brad says, I'm not going, Janet, you shout, I told you to go before the movie started. And then when Janet says, we've got to, everyone is watching, you say, today on a very special Ricky Lake, because it's very much like they're about to come down for a salacious talk show. And then this last one is a fun set of callbacks. You shout, anybody in the mood for some Wendy's? And then when Brad and Janet leave their seats, one of the people who sits down looks like the little old lady from the Where's the Beef commercials, and you yell, where's the beef?
That's funny.
And those are all my callbacks.
Okay, well, does this bird belong to you?
Ah! Ah!
Oh.
I don't know.
So nice, we called it twice.
Oh, you made me yell twice. Off is the direction I'm gonna fuck.
The sun never sets on those who ride into it.
Cock ring!